Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, John Haynes, A Conversation with Death. The man who rules the world and the angel of darkness take on a horde of demons in this inaugural John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, A Conversation with Death for 99 cents on Kindle or in paperback today. Recently, James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy for Marvel Studios, was fired by Disney, the owner of Marvel Studios, after it was revealed that he made several tweets on Twitter over a decade ago where he made several jokes that were about rape, about pedophilia, and other sexually deviant acts. And with the firing of James Gunn, there has been a campaign by several people in Hollywood and online to try to get James Gunn reinstated to his job as director of Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, with this campaign to try to get James Gunn reinstated, many of these people in America, especially these white people, are showing how much of a hypocrite they are, and they're also showing how racist they are. Because when it comes down to James Gunn, the director of a franchise like Guardians of the Galaxy they like, they're going out of their way to make excuses for a man who has clearly shown us that he may possibly have sexually deviant tendencies. Because any man who would go out of his way to make jokes about pedophilia is someone who I consider to be extremely suspect. There's humor, but when a man makes jokes about pedophilia, there's clearly something wrong with that man. And there's many people in Hollywood like your James Gunn, and many people, many corporations like Disney and many movie studios like Disney will go out of their way to cover for these perverts because they're making money for corporations like Disney. And because your James Gunn made a couple of $1 billion for Disney, that's why they swept his tweets under the rug. And it seems like somebody dug up those tweets as an effort to reveal the sexual deviancy that this man made fun of, and that's why this was revealed. And once it got revealed, that's when Disney decided to fire him. However, if this was not revealed, Disney would have never fired him, because when it comes down to many people in Hollywood, especially many of these executives and many of these producers and directors and many of these movers and shakers in Hollywood, they are sexual deviants. And they participate in acts like pedophilia and bestiality when they're not working on films. And they want to keep that sexually deviant behavior secret. So they'll go out of their way to bury things regarding their sexually deviant behavior, and they'll keep it out of the press because these people are making money for these big six movie studios, and they don't want to lose any money that these guys make for them. But this is something that is common in Hollywood, and as I've told people in numerous videos before, Harvey Weinstein was just the tip of the iceberg as it relates to many of these sexually deviant practices in Hollywood. Because in Hollywood, these directors, these producers, these actors, many of these people have been participating in sexually deviant behavior for years. And your James Gunn making jokes about it shows that this goes on the regular. Now, when it comes down to this James Gunn being fired, again, him being fired is something Disney is doing just to cover its own backside. They want to appear like they are so part of the outrage, but they're not outraged at all. They go right along with guys like James Gunn and Harvey Weinstein and your Stephen Collins and your Woody Allen all the time, because they fired James Gunn. But again, why is Stephen Collins not in jail? Why is Woody Allen not in jail? And I'll tell you why. Because these guys make money for Hollywood, and because they make money for Hollywood, they are willing to give their sexual deviancy a complete pass. But where these guys show their racism is that you have all of these people out here creating petitions to get James Gunn his job back, in the same way many of these Hollywood actors go out of their way to say they want to work with Woody Allen, a known pedophile. Woody Allen goes out of his way. He molested his own daughter and had a relationship with his own daughter, and he molested another adopted daughter. But many of these Hollywood actors, they will go out of their way saying that they want to work with Woody Allen, willing to give his sexual deviancy a pass, the same way many MCU fans want to give James Gunn's possible sexual deviancy a complete pass because they want to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And that's what's really sick about the whole James Gunn situation, is that people are willing to give a possible sexual deviant a complete pass because they want to see a movie featuring Marvel superheroes. That's one of the sickest things I have ever heard of in my entire life, and it shows how deeply disturbed many of these comic fans are that you're willing to actually create a petition and sign a petition to get a director back on a film when this man has gone out of his way to make these jokes regarding the destruction of a child's life and to talk about child sexual abuse and treat it like a joke. But this is the par for the course when it comes down to many of these people in Hollywood, because many of these people in Hollywood believe that they have power, and because they have power, they can do whatever they want to people's lives. But what makes these guys racist is the fact that they're sitting here talking about how we need to get James Gunn his job back. However, these same people a year ago went out of their way to talk about how Bill Cosby needed to have his legacy destroyed. When it came down to Bill Cosby, he wasn't innocent until proven guilty. He was guilty in the eyes of most of these white people because many of these white women came out here and made these unsubstantiated claims about Bill Cosby, claims that clearly were factually wrong, but many of these people wanted to see Bill Cosby's life destroyed. Now, when it comes down to many of the accusations made against your Bill Cosby, many of those accusations clearly have no factual base because when many of these claims were made in the 1960s and 1970s, we had the last vestiges of Jim Crow going on, and all a white female had to do was call the police, and that black man was going to jail. And Bill Cosby was no prominent star during the 1960s and the 1970s. He was just a working actor, and if those women had been allegedly raped like they said, they could have easily gotten Bill Cosby arrested. He had no influence and he had no clout back then. However, these women came out here and made these statements saying that Bill Cosby's career needed to be destroyed. And then we had these campaigns by these businesses and these universities to take away Bill Cosby's honorary degrees, and people even talking about wanting to take away Bill Cosby's awards. And they wanted to destroy the legacy of Bill Cosby. And eventually they took Bill Cosby to trial in what I call a lynching, because Andrea Constand, after losing the first trial, the prosecutor comes back and he does something with double indemnity, as I see it, and railroads Bill Cosby in a second trial for sexual assault. A sexual assault, I believe, that did not happen, because when it comes down to many of these females, they are on the casting couch and they'll go out here and they'll participate in sexual acts in the hopes of advancing their career with a prominent star, an agent, or a producer in the hopes of getting some sort of part. So Bill Cosby, even though he was proven, even though there was a hung jury in the first trial where most of the people did not believe the evidence, the prosecutor came back in a second trial, fabricated evidence, and then got Bill Cosby convicted. And then all these people were cheering Bill Cosby's conviction, but these same people will go out here and talk about how James Gunn deserves a second chance. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not one of those people, and when I look at your James Gunn, I see the same type of sexual deviant that your Harvey Weinstein was, and many of these other guys in Hollywood are. And I see the selective outrage that Mr. Superboy talked about in his video regarding James Gunn, because most of these white people want to see James Gunn back working on Guardians of the Galaxy, but they don't want Bill Cosby to have a legacy to pass on to black people. It seems like it's okay for the white person to be a sexual deviant, and it's okay to give him a pass for his sexual deviancy or possible sexual deviancy. But when a black man goes out here and clearly has evidence that he did not participate in any sort of sexual deviancy or any sort of sexual assault, everybody wants to cheer at his conviction, but no one wants to go out here and find out what the evidence truly was. There's clearly evidence of your James Gunn promoting sexual deviancy with these jokes about pedophilia, and if a guy will sit there and make jokes about pedophilia, then there's clearly possibility that he may go out here and be a pedophile, because in Hollywood there are a lot of pedophiles out there, and there are a lot of other sexual deviants in Hollywood. I know this because I've studied Hollywood for over 25 years, and I know how sick some of these Hollywood executives and producers truly are behind the scenes. And if you saw some of the things that some of these actors and actresses did behind the scenes for parts, it would make your stomach turn. And that's something most people are overlooking about James Gunn. They don't want to really go deep and look at the sexual deviancy that goes on in Hollywood, nor do they want to talk about that. What they want to do is get him back his job directing Guardians of the Galaxy so that they can be entertained watching these Marvel Comics characters come to life on screen, and they want to just be able to escape the reality of having to deal with how sick many of the people behind the scenes are who make their movies. Now, when it comes down to Hollywood and most of these people who make these movies, again, this is par for the course as related to their behavior, and James Gunn's jokes on Twitter are the par for the course as related to what goes on in Hollywood. And this stuff has been going on since the inception of Hollywood, and guys like Corey Haim have tried to talk about it, and Corey Feldman have tried to talk about it, try to tell people this goes on. And James Gunn's jokes only reinforce Corey Haim and Corey Feldman's statements about the pedophilia and sexual deviancy that go on, and the racism and hypocrisy that is shown when you have all these people advocating to get James Gunn his job back, but won't try to look at the hard evidence that is meant to design to railroad Bill Cosby and destroy his legacy. And it shows, again, that Hollywood itself is a racist institution, and its whole goal is to promote and programming of white supremacy in people's minds, because the good, honest white man, James Gunn, he needs to have his job, but Bill Cosby, the black man, he just needs to be put in jail because all he did was have relationships with white women, and he lowered the value of white women by treating them like the side pieces and casting couch bimbos they truly were. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct publications, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.